New videos every day.
As you've known, I've talked a lot about mind control and done some videos on brainwashing and such. Now, what if I told you that you were being bombarded with mind control techniques on a daily basis? So there's many different types and levels of mind control. Now, what I'm going to do today is give you a rough outline of the different types of mind control. So in the future, I'm going to be doing different videos on each individual type of mind control. Now, today I'm just going to be going over an overview of the different types, and I'm going to be giving you examples of each type so you can be aware of the different types of mind control. Now, if you may want to subscribe because I'm going to be doing a whole series on the different types of mind control, and you might be interested. So there's 3 basic levels of mind control. Now, each level corresponds with a different school of psychology. So the first level appeals to consciousness. The second level appeals to unconsciousness. And the third level appeals to biology. So in terms of schools of psychology, the first one, consciousness, has to do with and corresponds with cognitive psychology. Cognitive means aware. You're aware of what's going on. The second one is unconsciousness. That corresponds with behavioral psychology. Third one is biological psychology. That would also be psychiatry. Now, this is when you try to control the mind through physical means such as drugs and electroshock. Every mind control technique fits somewhere in this chart. Some mind control techniques will fit squarely at one of these levels. Other mind control techniques will maybe fit in between 2. But every mind control technique fits in some part of this chart. So let's look at the different levels of mind control and what fits in between. The first level we're going to look at is the conscious level or the cognitive level. This level deals with information. It never deals with punishment, duress, or physical pain. And it appeals to a person's reason. So the 2 basic forms of this would be education and ideological indoctrination. So a good example of education is when you get your driver's license. You take certain classes, you learn the rules of the road, and the intention is to make you behave a certain way when you drive. Now, most people wouldn't have a problem with that because if people didn't behave a certain way when they drive, then we'd have a problem. So ideological indoctrination. What do I mean by that? Well, ideological means worldview, your philosophy, and indoctrination means what you're educated in. So what are you educated in your worldview? So this would include your political education, your religious education, and even your science education. Now, what we mean is, how do you view the world by what you are educated by? So at this level, we also have to mention propaganda. Now, the word propaganda means information, but because propaganda has been abused in the past, people have a negative viewpoint of it. Now, the basic idea is someone wants you to view the world in a certain way, so they educate you to do so. So I'll be doing some more videos on propaganda, and I'll get more into it, but all propaganda is information control. Now, it's actually not always bad. I'm going to give you a couple examples. Have you ever seen those billboards that say 50,000 people a year die in drunk driving accidents? Now, that's propaganda. Is it bad? I don't think so. Now, here's another example. Hitler. Hitler used propaganda to educate the German populace into the idea that all Germany's problems were because of the Jews. Is that bad? Yeah. So let's look at the next level, unconscious or behavioral psychology. This does not appeal to the conscious. This is an attempt to control a person without their conscious decision being involved at all. So the biggest school of psychology in this level is behavioral psychology, which comes from Pavlovian psychology. You know the guy Pavlov, he had the dog and he'd ring the bell and the dog would salivate. Well, this deals with stimulus response. Now, stimulus response. Stimulus, something happens. You ring the bell. And response, the dog salivates. Now, this does not appeal to the conscious. The dog does not decide to salivate. He just does. It's an automatic response. Now, unlike the conscious level, this level often includes physical pain, punishment, and duress. So you may have seen some of my videos about the MK Ultra program. Now, this program deals in this unconscious level. It's an attempt to implant a stimulus response mechanism. So, for example, you would implant a command in a person so that when they hear a key word, which would be the stimulus, they would go and kill someone, which would be the response. It's a stimulus response. Now again, the person that is programmed to kill doesn't decide to do it because it's an automatic response. And in fact, he doesn't even know he's programmed because it's in his subconscious. At this level, we have hypnotism. And the reason that is because hypnotism is implanting commands into the subconscious. Now, for example, you have the operator that says, when I say bubblegum, you are going to bark like a dog. So you have the stimulus, bubblegum, you have the response, barking like a dog. Or the operator says, when I snap my fingers, you're going to act like a stripper. So snapping my fingers is the stimulus and acting like a stripper is the response. Creating a stimulus response mechanism is called conditioning. Now, part of conditioning is programming a person to associate pain or pleasure with a certain thing. Now, another part of this level is punishment. Now, punishment is an attempt to get someone to associate pain with an undesirable behavior. So here's an example. Say you have a kid, and your kid flips the teacher off. Now, in the cognitive level, you would sit your child down and you would explain to him why that's wrong. And hopefully your child would make the decision not to do it again. Now, in this unconscious level, the behaviorist level, you would beat the hell out of your kid until he associates pain with flipping the teacher off, and hopefully he doesn't do it again. I have a personal pet peeve with behaviorism because it's an attempt to control someone's behavior like you would train a dog using rewards and punishment. Now, I personally like the cognitive approach. So at this level, we also have brainwashing, or what the CIA likes to call interrogation. And you would do this by using physical pain and duress to control someone. So another note about brainwashing is that it has the word washing. Now, washing means to wipe something away, to wash it away, right? Now, the word brainwashing comes from a technique they used in China, also called political re-education. Now, the idea is that you wash something away and you put something else in its place. Now, in the MK Ultra program, psychiatrist Ian Cameron would call it depatterning. Another form of this is when you take someone from their religion and you use mind control techniques to wipe out their religious beliefs, and then you put another belief in its place. Now, this is called deprogramming. So under brainwashing, we have political re-education, we have depatterning, or we have religious re-education, or deprogramming. Now the last level, we have biology. Now this equates to biological psychology or psychiatry. Now what you're doing at this level is you're attempting to control behavior through physical interventions. Physical interventions include drugs, brain surgery, electroshock, or implanting something into the brain. Now remember the example I gave you with the child who flipped the teacher off. Now the cognitive approach would be to sit the child down and to explain to him why it's wrong. The behaviorist approach would be to spank him, and the biological approach would be to label him with oppositional defiant disorder and give him a psychotropic drug. So I'm not going to get into this biological approach because I'm going to do a video later, and this video is going to include a program it's a mind control program that would actually implant microchips and electrodes into someone's brain so they can be controlled like a remote control car or a remote control robot. Now, those are 3 basic levels. Now, there are all sorts of different mind control techniques that fit in between these levels as well. Now, in between the conscious and the unconscious level, there's different techniques to control someone's behavior through emotions. And we're being subjected to this constantly on a daily basis. Now, one of these techniques is public relations, and this is aimed to make you feel a certain way about something. Now, public relations isn't always aimed to make you feel good about something. It can also make you feel bad about a competitor or a group or a person. Now, this is called black public relations, and I'm also going to do a video on this later. Now, another mind control technique is marketing and advertisement, and I'll be doing a video about this later, but there's a reason why you have the half-naked girl holding the can of beer. So another mind control technique that would fall in between the conscious and the unconscious would be what I like to call pandering. And the word pandering means to fulfill an immoral desire. So you have a prostitute who panders to a sexual desire, and you have a drug dealer who panders to an addiction. So I'm using this word lightly, but basically what I mean is you're controlling someone by giving someone what they want. Now, under pandering, I'm including social control by distraction, and that includes television, porno, video games. So another technique I want to mention at the biological level is drug addiction. Pimps keep their whores in line by making them addicted to drugs. And beyond that, there's a reason why they add caffeine in our soft drinks. There's a reason why they add MSG into our fast food. And there's a reason why they add sugar in almost anything you buy at the grocery store. It's a type of mind control. So the last technique I want to mention is at the very bottom, and it's when you give up on trying to control their mind and you actually restrain them. So some examples of this are straitjackets, institutionalization, imprisonment, and heavy tranquilizers. Now, if all else fails, you can't control their mind, you can't restrain them, there's still the final solution. You can shoot them. So there's my video. Thanks for watching. And I'm going to be doing more videos on all the different types of mind control. But I would actually like to know, out of all the mind control techniques I've talked about, which one would you like me to do a video on? We're going to do a vote. By the way, thanks a lot again for all your comments and your ratings. I appreciate it, and keep it up.
Woo!